All right, good morning, everyone, and welcome as I call to order SCPP's 112th Annual General Meeting of the members. I'm grateful that each of you has made the time to be present here for this college business today. My name is Amy Wiebe, and it has been my privilege to be the president and chair of the board over this past year. I'm joining you from my home on Treaty 6 territory in Saskatchewan, and I'll be presiding over today's meeting. Before we move ahead through the agenda, I wish to pause to acknowledge with gratitude that the land on which we live, work, and gather today is Treaty 2, 4, 5, 6, 8, and 10 territory, the traditional land of the Cree, Dakota, Dene, Nakota, Saulteaux, and homeland of the Métis Nation. It's important to recognize with respect the integral role that Indigenous people have as stewards of our land, and also acknowledge the role that we all have in this land's history, as well as with our commitment and actions towards reconciliation and health equity moving forward. Just in terms of meeting procedure and logistics, we'll ask that everyone keep themselves on mute and that members are to ask any questions that they may have into the chat box at the bottom. We do have some moderator support to ensure that questions are captured and addressed in case I don't happen to see them. And then also, just due to the virtual nature of our AGM, we will ask that folks who are making motions to please do so by indicating that into the chat box. I'll ask for voting on a motion in terms of those opposed. So any member who opposes a motion is to indicate so in the chat function. Otherwise, the motion will be carried. Please remember that only practicing and non-practicing members have the right to vote. So you'll see here on this slide that we've listed the order of items on the agenda for today's meeting on the screen. First of all, I'd like to take the opportunity to introduce you to the members of the Saskatchewan College of Pharmacy Professionals Council for the July 1st, 2022 to June 30th, 2023 year. Again, my name's Amy Wiebe and I was the chair of the board this year. As our president-elect and fulfilling the rural and remote electoral division, we have pharmacist Tanya Schrader, our past president, Rod Amaya, honorary treasurer and urban pharmacist, Scott Livingstone, rural and remote pharmacist, Roxanne Bagnall, urban pharmacist, Sarah Kazusko, hospital pharmacist, Kelsey Dumont, hospital pharmacy technician, Tracy Martins, community pharmacy technician, Shauna Nowakowski, our ex officio from the College of Pharmacy and Nutrition, Dean Jane Elkhorn, and the designate ex officio, Charity Evans. And then our three public members, Bonnie Caven, Michael Lummerding, and Karen F. Lemieux. And finally, our student senior stick, Megan Kielo. Just before we move ahead to adopt the minutes from last year's AGM minutes, I do just wish to draw your attention to an amendment of the minutes that were originally circulated. An error was identified that in the moment of silence to acknowledge members who had passed away in the prior year, last year we had accidentally indicated that this occurred for 30 minutes when in fact it happened for 30 seconds. So this oversight has been corrected and updated in the annual report, which is available online. So I'll now ask for a motion that the minutes of the 111th Annual General Meeting of the Saskatchewan College of Pharmacy Professionals held on Friday, June 17th, 2022 via WebEx be adopted as amended and now printed in the 2022 annual report. Someone would make a motion in the chat box, please. Tracy Martins makes the motion. Thank you. And a seconder, we have Shauna Nowakowski. Thank you. And is there anyone opposed? Please indicate so in the chat box. Hearing no opposition, that motion is carried. Thank you, everyone. Moving ahead, Council would like to thank our current councillor, Sarah Kazusko, for agreeing to be reappointed to an additional 3-year term from July 1st of this year to June 30th of 2026. Council would also like to say goodbye and a heartfelt thank you to Councillor and past President Rod Amaya and Councillor Roxanne Bagnall for their commitment to the profession, the public, and the college. Elections were not held for the rural and remote pharmacist category as there were no nominees following the first call. So as per the bylaws, the second call was made and candidates were reviewed by our Human Resources and Governance Committee with a recommendation to Council. The Council officially appointed Martin Antaya from Prince Albert in the category of rural and remote pharmacist, and he will begin his 3-year term on July 1st of this year. Thank you for putting your name forward, Martin. Additionally, I'd like to thank all councillors for devoting their time and energy to the mission of protecting the public interest by building excellence in professional pharmacy practice through regulation. I'd also like to acknowledge the individuals that are listed on the slide here as SCPP appointees to external organizations. So we have the appointee to the Canadian Council on Continuing Education in Pharmacy, Danielle Larocque, appointee to the National Association of Pharmacy Regulatory Authorities, Registrar Gina Wendell, appointee to the Pharmacy Examining Board of Canada, Suzanne Len, appointee to the University of Saskatchewan Senate, Rod Amaya, and appointee to the University of Regina Senate, Zach Dumont. Let us now pause here as we recognize those members who have lost in the past year. Please bow your head for a moment of silent tribute to them. Moving ahead, the college's annual report was shared in advance of this meeting. Please refer to page 4 of that document for the President's report. I'll ask the General Assembly if there are any questions arising from the President's report. Now it can take some time to enter into the chat box, so I'll ask again if there are any questions arising from the annual report. Seeing none, I will then invite Registrar Gina Wendell to present the 2022 SCPP's Registrar's Report. Over to you, Gina.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Amy. So please refer to page 6 of the annual report for my Registrar's Report, and I will ask the General Assembly if there are any questions regarding the Registrar's Report. And again, just in the interest of the chat, I will ask again, just in case there's any questions on the annual report. Hearing none, I will turn it over back to you, Amy.
Thank you, Gina. All right, we have one of our auditors, Sheila Filion from Virtus Group, joining us today to assist with any questions that may arise. We also have our new Director of Corporate Services and Chief Financial Officer, Darren Cranfield, joining us today to present the 2022 audited financial statements. Welcome, Darren. I'll turn the floor over to you.
All right, thank you, Amy. I'll now provide an overview of the 2022 audited financials that begin on page 45 of the annual report. And with that, we'll move right to page 47, the statement of financial position. So total assets were $4.778 million for 2022, a $353,000 or 6.9% decrease compared to 2021. Liabilities were $3.009 million for 2022, an increase of about $80,000 or 2.7%, which is primarily composed of fees and licenses collected in advance as a result of an increase in members, pharmacies, and fees. And I'll just point out that Note 6 highlights a decrease in liability with respect to the capital lease obligation, as our lease on our furniture and walls will be completed as of March 2024. And also in 2021, the unrestricted reserves were $1.251 million, decreasing to $975,000 in 2022. This was due to approved use of funds to support operations. On to the statement of operations, page 48. Overall revenues showed a slight decrease of $269,000 from 2021. And this is primarily due to a $63,000 decrease in sundry revenue and lower investment income due to market performance. And I'll just note that sundry revenue includes fines and costs recovered from discipline. Moving on to expenses. Expenses were up $410,000 compared to 2021, mainly due to the CPDP. There was increased funding for the last half of 2022 to support competency assurance and practice improvement. And this will continue through 2023 and beyond as part of the focus on competency assurance, which is a key role of the regulator. Salaries and benefits. There was a new position that onboarded in 2022. And in 2021, there were positions onboarded at different times throughout the year. Thus, 2022 would have been the first full year of employment in their salaries. And of course, with an increase in salaries, the benefits costs increase proportionately. External consultants. Dr. Winslade continued her work with Scpp on the Competency Assurance Program. She began in Q2 of 2021, and 2022 was a full year of work. Travel increased in 2022 compared to 2021, and this was primarily for field operations and complaints investigations. We'll continue with the statement of operations. So overall, we reported a net loss of $443,000 for 2022, and this was planned in order to utilize more of the unrestricted reserves to support operations. And still on page 48, we'll look at fund balances. The fund balance at the end of 2021 was $2.23 million, and this decreased by $462,000 to $1.768 million. And this was, once again, a planned drawdown of reserves to support operations. And finally, on this next slide, we have the 2022 restricted fund allocations. The college continues to have funds allocated to support the financial stability of the college, such as the Catastrophic Discipline Fund and ensuring an operational reserve. These limits are within the industry average for other not-for-profit and PRAs across Canada. The building fund continues and is left over from the purchase of the condo many years ago. And the Training and Competency Fund and Integrated Primary Care Fund are also carryovers from many years ago. And there's potential for those to be utilized in 2023 and 2024 to support expanded scope of practice initiatives and the Competency Assurance Program. Okay, that's all. If I'll welcome any questions you might have on the financial report. Okay, and once again, I'll just give you an opportunity to enter into the chat. Any questions? Okay, thank you. Over to you, President Wiebe.
Great. Thank you, Darren.
Thank you.
So at this time, I'll just ask if anyone in attendance has any general comments or questions regarding the 2022 SCPP annual. And just to ask again, if there are any questions regarding the annual report, give you an opportunity to ask in the chat now. Seeing none at this time, I'll also ask if there are any new business items to be brought forward for consideration and discussion by council to be brought back at the next scheduled AGM. I'll ask again if there's any new business to be brought forward for council's deliberation. If there are no items of new business, And I now declare this, the 112th Saskatchewan College of Pharmacy Professionals Annual General Meeting, to be adjourned. All right, next on the agenda will be the recognition of our public and member volunteers. A certificate of recognition is presented to councillors, committee members, and appointees of the Saskatchewan College of Pharmacy Professionals for their dedication and contributions to the public and to the Council of SCPP. You see the names on your the slide here. And as we conclude this section of the AGM and my time as chair of the board comes to a close, I just wish to take a few moments for a final few remarks. It's been my honor and pleasure to lead council through the many changes over this past year, and I look forward with excitement to the many good things ahead as pharmacy professionals continue to grow and play an active role serving the health of people in Saskatchewan. I'm filled with gratitude for the many amazing people with whom I have crossed paths during my tenure as president, whether as SCPP council, staff, pharmacy professional members, or the public. I'm appreciative of the wholehearted effort and dedication from each of you in serving the people of this province. Moving forward, I wish everyone good health, strong community connectedness, and hearts filled with hope and happiness. Thank you. We'll now be heading into the presidential installation portion of our agenda, and I invite Registrar Gina Wendell to perform the presidential installation. Gina.
Thank you, Amy. Tanya Schrader, having been duly elected as president of the Saskatchewan College of Pharmacy Professionals for the 2023-2024 professional year, commencing July 1st of 2023. In this capacity, it has been and will continue to be your duty to preside in council and over all meetings of the college, to sign all certificates, diplomas, and other instruments or documents executed on behalf of the college, and to represent and present a report to the annual meeting of the college and be ex officio a member of all committees. It will further be your duty to conduct the affairs of this college so that its members may have pride in the profession and so that the citizens of this province will recognize they have been professionally served by those whom your office will represent. I ask then, do you agree to accept this office and serve your college to the best of your ability?
I do.
I invest you with this emblem of your office, which is a gavel, and now declare you, Tanya Schrader, installed as president of the Saskatchewan College of Pharmacy Professionals.
Thank you, Gina. Good morning, my fellow pharmacy professionals and colleagues. I am truly humbled to take on the responsibility of president for the Saskatchewan College of Pharmacy Professionals. Since joining council in 2019, I've had the privilege of working alongside many fantastic council members, dedicated SCPP members, and 5 exceptional presidents. Each of these individuals brought a unique and valuable perspective to our council meetings, and I'm proud of the steps we've taken towards achieving excellence in pharmacy practice thus far. Pharmacy professionals experienced another challenging year, and as we enter a post-pandemic healthcare state, I know that many of us remain fatigued and overwhelmed. In spite of this, each of you have shown resilience and strength while continuing to provide reliable, consistent care during these challenging times. Your daily commitment to your patients and communities is critical to the healthcare system in Saskatchewan. I don't think it is said enough. Thank you for all that you do in your practice to make our citizens healthier. While many of us have adjusted to the new normal, we still remain in difficult times. The high cost of living and a shortage of essential services are national challenges that will not be resolved anytime soon. These issues impact all of us in our personal and professional lives and has certainly made providing care more difficult. Adding to these tensions is a growing divisiveness within society. As contention between different groups builds, we as professionals must show leadership, inclusiveness, and integrity in our daily actions. I urge all of us to keep an open mind to different opinions and to avoid jumping to conclusions when we hear messages we don't agree with. Our primary role is to provide quality pharmacy care, but it is also to listen. More often than not, patients simply want to be heard and feel validated, and that act alone can have a powerful impact in shifting them to a positive mindset. Looking towards the future, advancements in pharmacy practice are once again on the horizon. In December of 2022, proposed amendments to the SCPP bylaws were shared with stakeholders and pharmacy professionals across Saskatchewan. The intent of these proposed changes is to alleviate pressure on the healthcare system and in turn improve accessibility and care for our patients. If approved, the amendments would enable advanced prescribing authority, allowing pharmacists to utilize their specialized training and knowledge. Although many pharmacists are enthusiastic about these potential changes, just as many are uneasy about taking on more responsibility in an already chaotic healthcare environment. I encourage those individuals feeling apprehensive to keep in mind that although change can be intimidating, without it, there is no progress. Further, just because pharmacists have the ability to do more does not mean that they must. To ensure safe and quality service, all pharmacy professionals should consider what resources and support they will require prior to making any modifications to their practice. As I reflect on the last year, I'd like to acknowledge the exceptional efforts and dedication of the SCPP staff as they navigate their own set of unique challenges. Protection of the public remained their number one priority, and a lot of excellent progress has been made towards this mandate. Implementation of the Community Pharmacy Manager course, the completion of quality improvement reviews, and preliminary planning for a competency assurance program are just a few successes that the college has had since last June. I believe that these key steps not only enhance patient safety, but also equip pharmacy professionals with tools they can utilize for better patient care. I would be remiss without stating that pharmacy professionals in Saskatchewan are very fortunate to have Gina Wendell as registrar, as she is an exceptional individual who consistently navigates complex issues with integrity and professionalism. As more challenges arise in pharmacy practice, I have no doubt that Gina and the college will continue to be proactive in their approach to regulation and patient safety. In closing, I want to thank our outgoing president, Amy Weeb. Over the last year, she's proven to be an incredible leader, and I certainly have big shoes to fill as I transition into this role. I also want to thank our exiting council members, Rod, Roxanne, and Megan, for their service to the college and to the profession of pharmacy. I sincerely appreciate the valuable input, perspective, and knowledge that each of them have brought to our meetings. And to all the hardworking pharmacy professionals across Saskatchewan, thank you again for your outstanding efforts in communities, hospitals, and academia. I look forward to what the next year brings, and I'm optimistic that the fundamental changes coming to pharmacy practice will enable us to better serve our patients and our communities. And with that, we've reached the end of our agenda. Thank you for your attendance. Enjoy the nice weather and the weekend.